The GAC conducts audits of entities and organizations, and they don't indict anyone. Indictment is a legal term and a legal activity. That would be something that more appropriately rests with the Ministry of Justice, the Liberian Anti-Corruption Commission. An audit is just a document that provides information and data about either money flows or practices or whatever is going on in an organization. The logical next step from what information is contained in an audit is a decision for someone who, and I'm not an auditor, I don't claim to have any real understanding of how one conducts it and what one looks at. Those are decisions related, for folks in the legal profession to make a determination whether there's sufficient information in one of those reports that can be used to build a legal case. There are different types of audits. Depending on what the audits are, it may say this much money went missing, but it doesn't necessarily say how it went missing or who is responsible for the fact that it's missing. And all of those are pieces of information that if you are going to take a legal case, one has to dig into and be able to build a case that will stand up in the court of law. It's very difficult to make a general statement about the government should be doing this or the government should be doing that, because every audit is different. It's the terms of the audit. I'm not familiar with those in all of these cases for all the ones that have been done. That said, we do provide assistance to the Government Auditing Commission. We also have been doing a lot of work through our Governance and Economic Management Systems program, GEMS, with USAID, with a number of ministries and agencies and commissions for the government here to help put in place systems for transparent financial management, because those are the kinds of things, that's the work that needs to be done to ensure that going forward it is difficult, if not impossible, for money to go missing. So it's one thing to talk about prosecutions, and yes, people should be held accountable if they are misusing public resources. But in order to, you can address what has happened, but you also need to address where we go from here. So you have to approach it in different ways. It's not just about what shows up in an audit, because some of these audits, in some cases, are looking back over what has happened. I don't know if that answers your question, but there are different types of audits and because of the different sorts of information that are sometimes in those audits, it may or may not be sufficient to support a legal case. It may mean that there needs to be more work to look into.
So in that case, do you observe the government is a bit slow in terms of implementing the case report?
I'm not implementing what report? I mean, I'm not sure I understand your question.
The GSA has recommended for some individuals who are accused of using government funds, and the recommendations are there. And the government now is under obligation to ensure that those individuals accused are there in court, and the government hasn't done that. So my concern is, do you see any delay in doing that?
Well, again, I haven't read all of the GAC reports. There's, from what I understand, a large number of them. So the specifics of what recommendations are in there as far as you should prosecute this person, I don't believe that's actually what's in any of them, because that's not what audit reports contain. That's different than saying, okay, this audit report shows that this much money went missing at this particular period of time, right? So, there's something called a forensic audit where you start to get into the detail of, this individual, or you track this piece of money. That is not the type of audit that the GAC is doing at the moment. So, we have to be clear about what we're actually talking about. That said, where the government has moved to try to develop cases, they have a very low capacity in terms of numbers of people and prosecutors in their prosecutor's office to develop these cases. And these cases require detailed work, particularly when you're working off of an audit case. You have to have figures and facts, and what's in the GAC audit is not necessarily sufficient. But again, there are, it's been a slog. The government, the president herself yesterday admitted that, there's still a lot more that needs to be done in terms of invigorating all of these processes, not just the GAC, but the LACC, which also needs to do, also has a role to play in prosecuting, because the government is just not going to be able to do all of this, along with all the other things related to the justice sector.